What is going on, everybody? It's you, it's me, it's us. Welcome back to another wonderful weekly live stream. How are you doing? It has been a busy week for spoilers. We have been getting a ton of Edge of Eternity spoilers, and boy, this set is looking interesting and fun. A couple of quick things before we get into the stream. You may notice something a little bit different in the chat. I do have a 5-second slow mode on, not because you guys are talking too much, but because last week we had some griefers. And it'll just give me a little bit more of an opportunity to deal with anything like that in the future, to keep people from spamming bad words in multiple messages, things like that. So it shouldn't be enough of a slow mode to deter any of you from being able to chat with me the way you like, but just in case anyone has any questions. And then I am feeling a little bit under the weather today. Been having some nausea issues and stuff, so I know it's maybe a little bit TMI, but I may end up ending the stream a little bit early if I'm still not feeling too great after we talk about spoilers, just because, you know, I can only power through so much. But I wanted to at least make the effort, and I took some medicine for it and everything before the stream, so hopefully I can power through the stream and have a good time with you guys, because you guys are honestly what I look forward to every week. Playing games with you and talking with you guys is what makes this so much fun. So wish me luck that everything starts to feel better, but if not, I hope you'll understand and give me a little bit of levity, or broilers as they say. They don't say. What's going on, Obsidian? Welcome to the stream. All right, so let's go ahead and get into these cards. Wrong one. There we go. Oh yeah, some very wild stuff. So we're just going to be focusing on the standard stuff, just because if I go over all the commander stuff and special guests and everything, we'll be here all night. Sorry. All right. First up, we've got an interesting one here. Debris Field Crusher, 5 mana for a 1/5 spacecraft that you have to station 8 to make it active. When it enters, it deals 3 damage to any target. And then at 8+ station, it has flying, and you can pay 2 to give it +2/+0 until end of turn. So nothing too crazy there, but definitely interesting. I would like to point out at least one thing. This Cascading Cataracts art is sick. That's very nice artwork. Up next, we've got Broodguard Elite. For X green, we have a 0/0 Insect Knight. This creature enters with X +1/+1 counters on it. When this creature leaves the battlefield, put its counters on target creature you control. And then you can warp it for X and green. Now, warp is a new mechanic that lets you pay an alternative cost. It puts the creature into play, and then it gets exiled, and you can cast it at a later time. So kind of similar to Adventure, except instead of casting 2 different spells, you're casting the same spell twice to take advantage of a powerful ETB or take advantage of a powerful static ability, something like that. In this case, you're paying that X and a green to put some counters on something, and then later on you can pay and make it a bigger one. So it's an interesting card. It's definitely got some potential in like a counter strategy. Moving on, we have Kavaran Memorial World. So these are the new planet lands. There are 2 card types that have the station mechanic on them. There are spacecraft and there are planets. I believe there are 5 standard planets. This is the red one. They all enter tapped, and they all represent one of the colors. This one being the red one, obviously. It has a station of 12+, and at that point, you can pay 2 mana, sacrifice a land, and create a 2/2 colorless robot artifact creature token. And then creatures you control get +1/+0 and gain haste until end of turn. So this is pretty interesting if you're playing, like, I can't imagine this sees playing like any kind of mono red aggro or anything like that, but maybe in a big red, where you just get lots and lots of lands in play. And then later on, you're slamming, big scary red things and making robots and just having a good time. So, is it good? Is it mythic good? Probably not, but it's probably okay. It's not I'd probably say this looks like the weakest one of the of the 5, but it's cool. I like anything that lets you give things haste, and I think a lot of people are underestimating the fact that you can use summon sick creatures to station, which is pretty relevant, so I don't think stationing will be as hard as people think. Yeah, I agree. I think the Reb one's on the iffy side of being playable too. All right, so we have a Dagia Windswept Bastion. This is the white planet, and there's tap for white, station 12 plus, pay 4 mana, create a token that's a copy of target artifact or enchantment you control, except it's legendary. Activate only as a sorcery. So you can only do that once per permanent that you do it to. So once you do it for a permanent, you can't continue to do that. Um, Very interesting. Definitely a sweet, like, late game uh type of card, maybe in something like synthesizer or something. I'm not sure. Uh because you do make a lot of summon sick big robots, so you could probably station this pretty quickly in synthesizer. So we'll have to see. We have Umbral Collar Zealot. I'm pretty excited about this one for an uncommon. 2 mana, 3/2, human cleric, sacrifice another creature, artifact, surveil 1. Uh wow. It's like Blood Artist, but or not Blood Artist. I cannot remember the name of the card I'm thinking of. It's a 1 mana sack outlet that lets you scry 1. But it's like a 0/1 too. So actually playable, and I think this really gives Sephiroth decks like a really sweet, like, just awesome 2-drop, because being able to just, like, there's so many good 1-drops in standard, and so many different colors that make multiple permanents when you play it, and then you sack it, and then you get more permanents. And lets you set up your graveyard, lets you make sure you're drawing things you want to draw. I think Umbral is really, really good. So look out for this. This is going to be an all-star uncommon, I think. We have Mouth of the Storm, 7 mana, 6 and a blue for a 6/6 flying with Ward 2. When this creature enters, creatures you control, your opponent's control, get -3/-0 until the end of your next turn. So 7 mana for a 6/6 flying Ward 2 with Super Jace's ability on it. I don't see this seeing any standard play, but it'll be really good and limited. We've got Cosmo Grand Zenith, a 3 mana, 2/4 human soldier for 2 and a white. Whenever you cast your second spell each turn, choose one. Either create 2 1/1 white human soldier creature tokens, or put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control. So this is basically like Baby Elspeth whenever you cast 2 spells in a turn. It seems really solid. A 3 mana, 2/4 is a good rate. We have seen plenty of 3 mana 2/4s be very solid and popular over the time in standard and recent history, and I don't see this being any different. It's not that hard to pair this with blue or black or red or any combination of those things and cast 2 spells in a turn. Uh, Not to mention that it synergizes with Elspeth, because you're just making a bunch of dudes and you play Elspeth and you either make more dudes or you put a bunch of counters on them and give them flying. So I think Cosmo Grand Zenith will definitely see some play at least. Very, very solid card. With Hall Carver, a 1 mana 1/1 artifact with Death Touch, Robot Assassin. Pretty sweet. I definitely love any cheap artifact creatures. And stuff with Death Touch is always good. We have Ilvoli Galeblade, a 1 mana 1/1 flash flying. Pay 2, sacrifice it to draw a card. That's interesting. That's a jellyfish, which is pretty cool. Jellyfish are neat, right? We've got Consult the Star Charts. Now this one, oof, this is a doozy here. Yeah, we're Spectral Sailor, right? Consult the Star Charts is a doozy. So 2 mana instant speed. Look at the top X cards of your library, where X is the number of lands you control. Put one of those cards into your hand. If the spell was kicked, put 2 of those cards into your hand instead, and put the rest on the bottom in a random order. Did Control need something better than Stock Up? I mean, I don't think this is better than Stock Up, but there are going to be situations where this is much better than Stock Up, because Stock Up is 3 mana, dig 5, pick 2 on turn 3, but this is on turn 6, 7, 8, dig 8, pick 2. It's dig through time, like, for 4 mana. or what's the other one that was really popular for a while? A Memory Deluge. It's Memory Deluge. Except, unlike Memory Deluge, it can go even further than 7 deep in a long game. Like, it's instant speed, so you can hold up counter magic, and then if they don't play anything you need to counter, boom, consult the star charts. This card is going to be a nuisance in blue decks. You're going to see a surge in control decks. I really think between this and stock up that there's just no way a control deck can't keep their hand stocked perfectly the way they like. Nesting Grounds is in the bonus sheet. We've got Sammy, Wildcat Captain. This one's an interesting one. 6 mana for a 4/4 double strike and vigilance. Spells you cast have affinity for artifacts. I don't know if this will actually see play in standard, but it's a cool card. I like things that give all your spells affinity for things. You got enough artifacts on the field, you can just cast, play a whole bunch of cool stuff. And I mean, 6 mana for a 4/4 though is a little rough. So will it see play? Probably not. Will I make a deck with it? Probably. We have Alfariel Stone Chosen. Boy, this is terrible picture quality here, but we'll try. So it's a 5 mana, 3 and 2 black, legendary human cleric, 3/3 with ward. Discard a card at random. Boy, I like that. I like that. Oh man, I love and hate. I have a love-hate relationship with discard a card at random. I love it when I'm doing it to people. I hate it when it's being done to me. Because one of the things that sucks about like ward discard a card is they just discard their worst thing, you know, like, oh, I don't need this land. I don't need this, whatever. Like, this is just like, maybe we hit their best thing. That'd be pretty sick, right? So it's going to be annoying when it happens to me. But I think cards like this are healthy. I like cards that don't let you, like, if I had to pick, all discard would be random, in my opinion, because I cannot stand targeted discard spells. It drives me insane that your opponent just gets to see your entire hand. They get all that information for 1 or 2 mana, and they get to pick your best thing as long as it meets the criteria of the spell. And that's infuriating sometimes because it's like, what do you even do in that situation? You know, you're just like, okay, well, they thought C is my best thing. Literally, I can't do anything. You know, it's on their terms and not your terms. You know, at least this is on no one's terms. It's just discard something at random, and then you can just blame, you know, the magic gods for screwing you and always taking your best thing. So something new for people to complain about. Anyway, Void. When a Ferial attacks, if a non-land permanent left the battlefield this turn or a spell was warped this turn, defending player loses half their life rounded up. So we've got another lose half life creature coming into standard. So probably see some more mono black, like kill you instantly cards type decks with the bat vampire. So we'll have to see. Being a 3/3 for 5 is a little rough, like you said, Obsidian. But who knows? Maybe it sees some play. It's definitely difficult to deal with outside of Nowhere to Run. So we'll see. Sliver Overlord is a bonus card, but hello, Sliver Overlord. I'm so excited to be able to open a Sliver Overlord and build a Sliver deck again, because this is like a $50 card, and I've never just wanted to spend $50 on my commander. So we got Paradox Haze, Nexus of Fate, Magus of the Moon, all coming in the bonus sheet. Mana Confluence, High Market, Celestial Colonnade, all sweet lands. Then we get back to the standard stuff. We've got the End Stone, a 7 mana legendary artifact. Whenever you play a land or cast a spell, draw a card. That's a very powerful effect. Now, this is 7 mana, so I don't know if it's good or not, but that's a very powerful effect, especially if you can cheat this into play somehow, which is possible. So at the beginning of your end step, your life total becomes half your starting life total rounded up. So this basically keeps, like, it's definitely bad if you're at a high life total, but I could see this even seeing play in like a Bob. No, not Bob. This costs 7. Trying to think of where this would provide value, because like if you're at 20, this hits you for a lot, you know, but it keeps you alive if you're below 10. So man, I don't know. Like it's a weird card to analyze because I'm trying to figure out where you would care about the second half of this ability. colorless ramp. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Is like I'm trying to figure out like what deck. Like I guess you can play this with Hidetsugu's Second Right. I've been seeing some people having fun playing around with Hidetsugu's Second Right in Standard, and that's been amusing. If you don't know what Hidetsugu's Second Right is, it's a 4-mana instant that deals 10 damage, but only if your opponent has exactly. Oh wait, that doesn't even work because it's your life total. Oh boy, yeah, I don't know. I'm stupid. I have no clue what deck would want this. It's a cool card, and maybe somebody will find a home for it, but I'm a little lost on where to put it. You have to donate it to them. That's pretty funny. Yeah, just here you go, harmless offering, and they're like, "Thanks, bro. I'm gonna draw so many cards." At their end step, their life total becomes 10, and you're like, "Ha, got ya." All right, we got Starfield Vocalist, a 4-mana 3/4 creature human bard. It's a mythic, and if a permanent, this is hard to read, so bear with me. If a permanent entering the battlefield causes a triggered ability of a permanent you control to trigger, it triggers an additional time. So it's a Panharmonicon on a creature, and you can warp it for 2. So if later in the game, like if you don't want to have to spend the 4, but you got a lot of cheap ETB effects, things like that, you can warp this for 2, get a bunch of benefits, and then cast this full cost later. That's a pretty sweet card. I love anything that doubles up on triggers and stuff. I think those are always fun. So Chrome Companion, what did they do? What did they do to the cute little 1-mana corgi from Aether Drift? Look at him. What happened? What happened to the guy? He's got like half his face and his little short legs. I don't know if I approve of this. Like he looks so happy and he's got his little rocket wheels and everything, but I mean, come on, who let this happen to him? Somebody needs to be held accountable. 2 mana, 2/1. When this creature becomes tapped, you gain 1 life. 2 mana, tap, put target card from a graveyard on the bottom of its owner's library. This is an interesting graveyard hate card, sorta. It's like colorless but worse scavenging ooze. Be great in limited, but probably not in standard. So all right, we're getting a reprint of Gemstone Caverns in the bonus sheet, and then we have Insatiable Skittermaw, a 3-mana 2/2 menace with void at the beginning of your end step. If a non-land permanent left the battlefield this turn or a spell was warped this turn, put a +1/+1 counter on this creature. So on the best of days, it's a 3-mana 3/3 menace at your end step. So it dies to a shock prior to your end step. Not super exciting. It is a common though, so I guess that's understandable. Wormwall Sweeper, 2 mana for an artifact spacecraft. When the spacecraft enters Surveil 2 station for 4, it becomes a 2/2 with flying. It's not the worst. 2 mana for an artifact that surveils 2, and then later on it can become a creature. Could be worse. It's not great though. All right, so now we've got some interesting stuff because there's some crazy combos that you can pull off with this card. So weapons manufacturing is 1 in a red enchantment. Whenever a non-token artifact you control enters, create a colorless artifact token named Munitions. With this token, when this token leaves the battlefield, it deals 2 damage to any target. Now that is such a cool token. You can sacrifice it to bargain. You turn Torch the Tower into a Roast with Exile. Like, you play any artifact, and now your Torch the Tower is just, like, turbocharged. Not to mention, there is another card later on down the list that also says whenever an artifact leaves the battlefield, you deal 2 damage to your opponent. Like, there's some crazy stuff you can do with this, especially with the things I've seen spoiled in the set so far, which we'll go over as we get through this. We've got Banishing Light, 3 mana for an enchantment. When this enchantment, and we know what Banishing Light does, but just in case anyone doesn't, it's an Oblivion Ring. It exiles something until it leaves the battlefield. So reprint of Banishing Light, and then we have Ouroboros. It's a 4 mana 1/3 plant worm. At the beginning of combat on your turn, put X +1/+1 counters on each creature you control, where X is this creature's power. This is really sweet with the talent, the green talent, that puts counters on things, or any other creature that puts counters on things at the beginning of combat, like Tumblewag, or just with things like Bristly Bill, stuff like that. Like, it's a very interesting card. Sorry, I'm really just not feeling great right now. I'm really hoping that this goes away. So very interesting card. We're getting a reprint of Thespian Stage, a reprint of Eldrazi Temple, and a reprint of Blinkmoth Nexus. I'd like to point out something interesting. People are kind of concerned that there's no set symbol on these, and I don't know how that will affect things. Uh, I guess just because of legality, but I guess they wouldn't be. The legality doesn't change because they're special guest cards. So, but I have seen people point out it is very strange that there's not a set symbol here for those bonus cards. All right, we got Sir Vondam the Lucent. We've got 2 white, a black, and a black for a 4/4 Death Touch lifelink. Whenever Sir Vondam enters or attacks, other creatures you control get +1/+1, gain Death Touch till end of turn. I don't think that's terrible for an uncommon. It's going to be a house and limited. But even in standard, like, I could see this maybe being a 1 or 2 of in an Orzhov Knights list. Just giving everything Death Touch, especially because we've got the 2 First Strike Knights, so giving them Death Touch is like just they're unblockable now. So I could see this being a 1 or 2 of in the Orzhov Knights. I don't know. I'd consider putting. I have Elspeth in my Orzhov Knights list. And granted, Elspeth's probably better, but like for people who don't have Elspeth because it's an uncommon versus a mythic, I could see it being a good budget option for those decks. Or even just any other like mid-rangey creature-based Orzhov list. But I think when I think knights, it's a knight, right? So there you've got 8 first strike knights that literally can't be blocked while this is on the battlefield. So that's pretty sweet in my opinion. Singularity Rupture is a 6 mana, 3 blue, black, black. Destroy all creatures, then any number of target players, each mill half their library rounded down. This is interesting. If you're playing a deck that cares about having things in your graveyard, you can mill half your own library. That's pretty sweet. Or you can just mill your opponents. And then on the following turn, use the exhaust ability of that fountain that mills equal to the number of cards in their graveyard. That'd be pretty sweet. So it's an interesting card. 6 mana, board clear. I could see it maybe seeing some play in like a Demir control list or something. We'll have to see. Decode Transmissions is a 3 mana sorcery. You draw 2 cards, lose 2 life, void if an all-name permanent was left the battlefield this turn, or if a spell is warped. Instead, you draw 2 cards and each opponent loses 2 life. So it's a little bit of an upgrade to that effect. We have Genomorph Imago, a Simic 1/3 for 2 mana, flying, landfall. Whenever a land you control enters, target creature has base power and toughness 3/3 until end of turn. If you control 6 or more lands, the creature has base power and toughness 6/6 until end of turn instead. This is pretty sweet. In a deck that cares about like early mana dorks like Llanowar Elves, because you can just turn your Llanowar Elves into beaters after a few turns, and that's pretty sweet. And I like that it's got flying. So, and you can give him, he's a 3/3 flyer whenever you landfall if you just use it on him. So it's not terrible. I think it's very interesting. We got Unravel, 3 mana instant, 1 blue blue, counter target spell. If the amount of mana spent to cast that spell was less than its mana value, you draw a card. So anytime your opponent casts something with reduced cost and you counter it, you get to draw a card. It's not terrible. 3 mana for counter isn't always the best, but I mean, I could see it seeing play if we've still got a bunch of mana cheating going on. Emissary Escort, 2 mana, 0/4 robot soldier. This creature gets +X+O, where X is the greatest mana value among other artifacts you control. I actually think this is pretty sweet. A 0/4 is not terrible for 2, and then if you have any other artifact on the battlefield, he gets a bonus, and sometimes he can get a really huge bonus. So I don't know, it's not like horrible. I don't think it's great, but you could play this, and then we'll talk about this in just a second. But we've got Voidforge Titan, which is a 5-mana 5/4 with Void at the beginning of your end step. If a non-land permanent off the battlefield this turn or a spell is warped, you draw a card, lose life. Not terrible. Then we got Bygone Colossus, which is kind of interesting because if you play Emissary Escort and then warp Bygone Colossus, well, your Emissary is a 9/4 now, so that's pretty sweet. And then you can cast it later. So I think this card is mostly designed to help station. What's going on, Weems? Welcome to the stream. I'm chugging through it because I am not feeling great. But we're chugging through these spoilers, and hopefully I start feeling better. So I think the warp on this is to help with like stationing, because for 3 mana you can add 9 station counters to something, so like something like the big deal 100 thing that needs 20 counters on it, like it can get you there a little bit faster. We'll have to see. We've got Use Social Engineering, which is a 5-mana enchantment with landfall. Whenever a land enters, create a 2/2 colorless robot, and you can warp it for 2. So basically like Chocobo Racetrack from the last set, but this one's about robots. We've got Weftstalker Ardent, 3 mana for a 2/3. Whenever another creature or artifact you control enters, this creature deals 1 damage to each opponent, and you can warp it for 1. Now, like I said, there's some pretty crazy artifact combo-y stuff going on in this set, and I really think we might be able to get like a pretty simple artifact sack OTK damage kind of deck out of this set. We'll have to see. It's probably a lot of pieces to get it like really consistent, but there's some pretty sweet cards in this set. This isn't terrible, for 1 mana, you get a 2/3 that pings every time you get stuff. So if you've got a bunch of ways to make tokens, like World Waker Helm and all kinds of other things like that, there's so many options to just make tons and tons of tokens and maps and treasures and just go nuts with effects like this. So we'll have to see. And then these 2 are commander cards, and then we've got Infinite Guidelight Station, 5 colors, 5 mana. Legendary artifact Spacecraft. When Infinite Guideline Station enters, create a tapped 2/2 colorless robot artifact creature token for each multicolored permanent you control. Now, I think that's a little lame. They should come in untapped so they can station this thing. It's got a station of 12. Once you hit that station, it is a 7/15 with flying, and whenever it attacks, draw a card for each multicolored permanent you control. So at worst, it's drawing you 1 card when it attacks, and it's a huge 7/15 flyer. I really think it's not that easy to have a ton of multicolored permanents on the battlefield. Like, when you cast this, like, maybe you have 2 or 3. I really think they dropped the ball on this one. They should be untapped, because that's a big station cost, you know what I mean? Like, 12's a lot. So I don't see why letting those come in untapped would be so bad. I feel like they're trying to avoid shenanigans with haste, because there's a few spells kind of like this where things come in tapped that don't make sense. But I don't know. I think it's an interesting card, and it might still see play. But we'll have to see. We've got Emergency Eject. 3 mana for an instant. Destroy target non-land permanent. Its controller creates a lander token. Lander tokens are a new kind of token, like clues and foods, that you can pay 2 mana to sacrifice and get a basic out of your deck and put it on the battlefield tapped. I think that's actually, it might be the best 2 mana sack token type that we've gotten so far, in my opinion. I really like it. Speaking of which, we have Seed Chip Impact, which is a 2 mana instant. Destroy target artifact or enchantment. If its mana value is 2 or less, create a lander token. I think that's really sweet. It's a solid instant speed artifact enchantment removal with a potential of big upside if you happen to remove something small. So I like it. We've got Shattered Wings, 3 mana for a sorcery. Destroy a target artifact, creature, enchantment, flying surveil 1. Just a rehash of that type of effect. We've got Ragos, Deft Gastronaut. Now, this has been getting a lot of attention. for its combo potential with the artifact stuff I've been talking about. It's a Boros 2-drop 2/2. Artifacts you control are foods in addition to their other types and have the food ability, which is to pay 2, sack it, and gain 3. You can pay 1 mana to sacrifice a food, and Ragos deals 3 damage to each opponent. At the beginning of each end step, if you gain life this turn, untap Ragos. This is a pretty sweet 2-drop. And like I said, it goes in like an engine with like some of these artifact cards, which like I said, there's another one I'll show you a little later on. That just makes this and that munitions card and even that 2/3 with warp up there like some pretty crazy stuff. Then we are getting shocks back in standard, guys. We're getting shocks. We got Watery Grave, Stomping Ground, Sacred Foundry, Godless Shrine, and Breeding Pool. So we've got the Simic, we've got the Gruul, we've got the Boros, we've got the Orsov, and we have the Dimir. I don't think Dimir needed Watery Grave, but it is what it is. Yeah, so it's really exciting to have those. They're going to make all the Verges much, much better because up to this point, we have not had a dual land with multiple land types that comes in untapped for a very long time. So having untapped dual lands means that in like 2 and 3 color decks, now you can just play a set of your Verge and a set of these, and then even a couple of the Surveil lands, and you will have your Verges will almost always be there. So it definitely does need Watery Grave. Your Dimir needs to be better. No. So stoked to have shocks back in standard, and even just for people who play older formats or play commander and things like that, having easier access to these is very nice. Then we have Terminal Velocity, which is a 6 mana sorcery. You may put an artifact or creature card from your hand onto the battlefield. That permanent gains haste. When this permanent leaves the battlefield, it deals damage equal to its mana value to each creature, and at the beginning of your end step, sacrifice this permanent. This is pretty cool. I don't have in my head an exact way to break this yet, but it's very, very sweet, and I think that it's definitely got some potential to just do some absolutely crazy things. You consider things like having Terror of the Peaks on the field when you cast this, stuff like that. Maybe this can be played alongside lifelink. Yeah, it can gain you a ton of life equal to its mana value. Very, very relevant. It's just a cool card. I think it's a neat card. I don't think it's going to break standard or anything. I'm not going to see this at the Pro Tour, but I will definitely be brewing around this trying to break it. So keep your eyes out for that for sure. Kavu Land Seeker, a 4 mana 4/3 common menace. When this creature enters, create a lander token, and at the beginning of the end step on your next turn, sacrifice that token. So you have to use it by your next end step. We've got Galactic Wayfarer. 3 mana 3/3 when this creature enters, create a lander token. It's not terrible for a common. All right, then we have Biotech Specialist. This is the other card that makes me think like a Naya artifact sacrifice list will be really popular. 2 mana for a 1/3 when this creature enters, create a lander token, and whenever you sacrifice an artifact, this creature deals 2 damage to target opponent. Very, very sweet. Definitely going to help in making those decks just be able to deal tons and tons of damage out of nowhere. If you have all those things on the battlefield at once, you've got, the artifact coming in, dealing a damage, getting sacked, dealing like 6 damage. Like, it's just a mess. So tons of crazy potential there. So Starbreach Whale is a 5 mana 3/5 with flying. When it enters, Surveil 2, and it has Warp 2. Nothing to write home about there. Starfield Vocalist. We already went over this card. That was just, I guess, up top was the treatment for it. We have Red Tiger Mechan, 4 mana 3/3 with haste and warp for 1 and a red. Nothing crazy there. Mechanozoa, robot jellyfish. So this is a play on Mechazoa, or on Chronozoa or something like that. I can't remember the name of the card, but there's an Ozoa jellyfish card from old sets that this is making fun of. But whenever this enters, tap target artifact or creature an opponent controls and put a stun counter on it, and you can warp it for 3. Pretty sweet. We have Halia, Guided by Light, 3 mana for a 3/3 human soldier. When Halia or another creature or artifact you control enters, you gain 1 life. At the beginning of your end step, draw a card. If you gain 3 or more life this turn, and you can warp it for 1 mana. I think it's pretty easy to do. I could see this card seeing play in a life gain shell because gaining 3 life is very easy. So being able to gain some life and draw a card never hurts. So definitely a cool card. Probably see some play. We have Exalted Sunborn. Now this one's pretty exciting. It's a 5 mana 4/5 flying lifelink that has a doubling season effect on it. If one or more tokens will be created under your control, twice that many tokens are created instead. You can warp it for 2. So if you have a way to make cheap tokens, you can warp this for 2, make a bunch of cheap tokens, whether it's with like battle menu and you cast this and battle menu and you make 2 knights or something, and then you can cast this later. A lot of potential here. And it's not terrible just as a 5-drop. So we'll have to see. We have Esteli Reclaimer, a 5 mana 5/4 flying. When this creature enters, return target non-creature, non-land permanent with mana value X or less from your graveyard to the battlefield, where X is the amount of mana spent to cast this creature, and it has a warp of 3. I think this is really sweet. So, like, Giada is not rotating. There are several decent angels that are not rotating. We got actually quite a few good angels in Foundations. So an angel that could still theoretically be feasible. And this is really, really good in a deck like that because 9 times out of 10, you play Giada, it dies immediately, right? And that's the sad feeling. But then you warp this for 3 mana on the next turn and reanimate it, and then you still have this to cast later. That's pretty sweet. I would say that's a sweet combo there. It's on curve, and yeah, very, very cool effect, I think. So maybe we'll see an angel deck come back. We'll have to see. We have Quantum Riddler, 5 mana 4/6 flying Sphinx. When this creature enters, draw a card. So not terrible for the stats. A 5 mana 4/6 flyers, not bad already. And then drawing a card is even better. Oh, you're right. That's a non-creature. You're right. Magic players don't read the card. What are you talking about? I just read you the card and I still... Okay. You're right. I'm wrong. Can't get you out of back. Card probably sucks then. It doesn't suck. It's not a bad card. I don't think this is a bad card at all. I think that there are other things you can use this with, just as a finisher and to reanimate some stuff. But you're right. Can't get you out of. Quantum Riddler. Yeah, I agree. Withstanding that it can't get creatures, it does have a little bit, like, it's going to need to find a new home. So this draws a card, and as long as you have 1 or fewer cards in hand, if you would draw 1 or more cards, draw that many cards plus 1 instead, and you can warp this for 2. Interesting. If you're really far behind on resources, you can warp this and draw a card immediately, or you can just play it for 5 and draw maybe 2 cards if you only have this card in your hand. And one other thing, so I think this is definitely an interesting finisher for like a control or a blue tempo deck. We'll have to see. It's very cool though. Mutinous Massacre for 7 mana Rakdos sorcery for 3, 2 black, 2 red. Choose odd or even. Destroy each creature. Oh, so sorry. With mana value of the chosen quality, then gain control of all creatures till end of turn. Untap them. They gain haste until end of turn. Yeah, that's an interesting. You cited into the synthesizer list. Yeah, that's not terrible because you can warp it in and get the synthesizer back, and then get it back again later. So basically, it reanimates it twice. Pretty sweet. This is an interesting spell. It's a lot of mana, but if you can set it up so that you have a sack outlet that survives the side you pick, um, I mean, I guess if you have a sack outlet on the field, you just win. You just one-sided, kind of not one-sided, but you kind of one-sided board wipe your opponent. Because if you got like a 2 mana sack outlet and you choose odd, you destroy all the odd creatures. You take control of all the even creatures. They gain haste. You smack your opponent in the face with them. Use your sack outlet to sack them all. You've wiped all of your opponent's creatures off the battlefield. and then maybe gotten some benefits from your sack outlet. So it's an interesting card. It's a lot of mana though, so I don't know if it'll see play, but I like it. Tragic Trajectory, a worse version of Tragic Slip. 1 mana sorcery, target creature gets -2/-2 until end of turn. And then Void, this creature gets -10/-10 until end of turn instead if a non-land permanent has left the battlefield or a spell is warped this turn. It's not a bad spell, but you know, Tragic Slip cared only about creatures dying, and it was an instant. So the front side of it was worse. It only gave -1/-1, but then it gave -13/-13 if something died. So it's kind of a wash. All right. Getting into some of the spicier things here. We've got Uthros Titanic God Core. This is the blue planet. Enters tap station 12 plus. Pay a blue, add blue for each artifact you control. This is literally Thalarian Academy in standard. If you can station it, it's very sweet. Definitely goes in a synthesizer list. And then we have Cosmogoyf. This is so funny to me. Like, I saw a few people talking about it because Lurgoyf was in the teaser, and they're like, if we get Space Goyf, we're gonna flip. And then literally it's called Cosmogoyf. It's interesting. It's not as readily good as like some of the other Goyfs, because it's a little harder to set up. This creature's power is equal to the number of cards you own in exile, and its toughness is equal to that number +1. So if you've got good ways to exile things for cheap, say like the 1 mana dork that exiles things from your graveyard to make mana, things like that, I could see this being, you know, it's never going to be big on turn 2. You know what I mean? There's just not really a way to do that. But later in the game, it can be very, very sweet. And it can get a lot bigger than some of the other Goyfs. So we'll have to see. Maybe this is like a Jund deck where you exile a bunch of stuff and then you play like this and fling. Just make it like a 20, 25, 26 and fling it at somebody. And then the Eternity Elevator is a 5 mana legendary spacecraft that has an add 3 colorless mana ability. And then a 20+ station of add X mana of any one color, where X is the number of charge counters on the Eternity Elevator. So if you can turn this on, it's going to add at least 20 mana of any one color. So you can just Choco Comet your opponent to death real quick. I think this is a fun build around. And I definitely think it sees play maybe in the Ugin decks. And then maybe you use the station ability to like steal all your opponent's card with outrageous robbery or something like that. I don't know. It's a cool card though, and it adds 3 mana for 5 mana, so it's, you know, it's not terrible as it is. It doesn't come in tapped or anything like that. So if you have other stuff to cast, it's basically a 2 mana rock. And I like it. I think it's good. It ramps you right up into Ugin and beyond. To make sure you can cast more stuff and exile more things with Ugin. So I like it. We have Hilderblade, which is a 1 mana artifact equipment. Creature gets +3/+1. Void at the beginning of your end step. If a non-land permanent left the battlefield this turn or spells warped, attach this equipment to a creature you control. It's not terrible. It's okay. We have Susurian Voidborn, a 3 mana 2/2. Whenever this creature or another creature or artifact you control dies, target opponent loses 1 life and you gain 1 life, and you can warp it for 1. So if you have a bunch of ways to sack creatures and artifacts, you can warp this in for 1 mana, sack all that stuff, deal a whole bunch of damage, and win the game. So this paired with a number of cards we have available to us in standard can be very, very strong. So Virus Beetle, 2 mana for a 1/1. When this creature enters, each opponent discards a card. That's the reprint. We have Sledge Clash Siege Ship, a 3 mana that doesn't do anything when it enters. And then Station is 7, which makes it a 4/5 flyer. And whenever it attacks, you may put a creature from your hand onto the battlefield. It might not be that terrible. If you can station this pretty quickly on turn 4 or 5, like if you go, you know, 1 drop, 2 drop, this 4 drop, and you can station this on turn 4, it's not terrible. It's got a good body. It's a flyer, so it's got evasion. and it's when it attacks, so it doesn't even have to connect. So I don't even think this is terrible. Yeah, it's a 3 mana do nothing. Uh, but if you can station this quickly, it could be a very solid way to cheat things out of your hand into play. Oh my goodness. Uh, uh, why is the Eternity Elevator on here twice? This is supposed to be Thrumming Hive Pool. This Eternity Elevator is supposed to be Thrumming Hive Pool. I might have to look up Thrumming Hive Pool for you guys. That's the wrong card. Uh, Eternity Elevator is supposed to be here. So we've got Entropic Battle Cruiser, 4 mana for a spacecraft that does nothing when it enters. For stationing, 1+. Whenever an opponent discards a card, they lose 3 life. That's pretty powerful. We have a lot of really strong discard effects in Standard right now. So I can see this being... Yeah, I know what it is, but I just want to pull it up for you guys. Yeah, it's a 6 mana artifact with affinity for slivers, gives your slivers double strike and haste, and makes 2 slivers either at the beginning of combat or on your end step. I can't remember. I'm really hoping they print at least a couple sliver creatures in the set and don't force us to play the ley line to take advantage of it in Standard. But I will play that ley line, and I will make everything a sliver, and I will play affinity for slivers, and it will be sweet. But hopefully they give us at least a couple of slivers in the set. Let's see. Uh, and then if you get to 8+, it's a 3/10 with flying and death touch, and whenever it attacks, each opponent discards a card, and each opponent who can't loses 3 life. So pretty sweet. I think it's an okay artifact. I don't think it's going to see Standard play, but I like it a lot. We have Extinguisher Battleship, 8 mana for a spacecraft that when it enters, destroy target non-creature permanent, and then the spacecraft deals 4 damage to each creature. That's pretty good for a board clear, but 8 mana? Like, whew. I could see this seeing play in the Ugin deck, though. Like, because you get up to that 8 mana pretty quick in the Ugin deck, right? And then being able to blow up a non-land permanent and blow up their board of creatures is pretty sweet. And then it's a 10/10 flying trample once you get it to 5 counters for station. I like the card. I think it's sweet. I'm going to play it in the Nugan deck. We're going to have fun. Choral of the Void, a 4 mana black enchantment aura. Enchant creature you control. When enchanted creature attacks, put target creature from defending player's graveyard onto the battlefield under your control, tapped and attacking. That's a pretty sweet aura. Like, man, talk about wrecking your opponent if you're on the play against a Reanimator deck and they pitch like an Atali or something. And, oh, that's rotating, but the Valgavoth, and you're just like, cool, I'm gonna put this on my Screaming Nemesis and attack and steal your Valgavoth, tapped and attacking. Good luck. I think this is a really cool aura. I like this card. And that's not even all of it. Void, at the beginning of your end step, sacrifice this aura unless a non-land permanent left the battlefield this turn or a spell was warped this turn. So you do need to keep... You keep the creature even if this gets sacrificed. Because it doesn't say until this leaves the battlefield. So you get to keep the creature even if you don't satisfy the void, which I think is pretty sweet. We've got 0-point Ballad, X black. Destroy all creatures with toughness X or less. You lose X life if X is 6 or more. Return a creature card put into a graveyard this way to the battlefield under your control. I think it's a pretty sweet board clear. It's really, really nice for dealing with tokens. Just a bunch of, you got a bunch of cheap creatures. We still continue to see a lot of, mono white tokens and bunny rabbits and things like that being popular. So being able to just wipe it all away for 3 or 4 mana is pretty sweet. I like this card a lot. I think it'll see some play, at least in the sideboard, if nothing else. We've got Starwinder, a 7 mana, 7/7 with Warp 4. Whenever a creature you control deals combat damage to a player, you may draw that many cards. So it's like, for the Warp, you get like an Enduring Curiosity effect, but you get to draw a lot more cards if your creatures deal a decent amount of damage, because you get to draw a card for each damage, which is pretty sweet. I don't know if it'll see play over the cat, but maybe it's something that you play alongside it, especially since you can cast it for 7 mana as a 7/7 later. It's pretty sweet. Frenzy Baloth. This is a lot of text on a 2-drop. I like it. Excited about it. Green creature 3/2 beast. This spell can't be countered. Has trample. Has haste. Creature spells you control cannot be countered. Combat damage cannot be prevented. That's a lot of text for a 2-drop. That's a good body for a 2-drop. Those are all sweet keywords. I like this card a lot. It's basically Questing Beast's baby cousin, and I love it. I'm here for it. We have Diadrine Synthesis Amalgam, X green white, trample. It's a 0/1. It enters with a number of +1/+1 counters on it equal to the amount of mana spent to cast it, so it counts the colored pips. So if you cast this for 1 and a green and a white, it gets 3 counters, so it's a 3/4 at worst. But you can cast it for 2 and get a 2/3, which is not terrible. And then whenever you attack, you may remove a +1/+1 counter from each of 2 creatures you control. If you do, draw a card and create a 2/2 colorless robot. That's pretty sweet. Drawing cards, making tokens, I like it. We've got Zoo Ifrit Osteoharmonist, a 3-mana 2/3 legendary human wizard. Tap, return target creature from your graveyard to the battlefield. It's a skeleton in addition to its other types and has no abilities. I don't know how I feel about that. My immediate thought is that it goes with the skeleton enchantment, and you can like return stuff from the graveyard with it, but like it loses the abilities, so you don't get any any ETBs or death triggers or anything like that. So I don't know. I don't think this card sees play. We have Pain for All. This card is obnoxious. Enchant creature you control. When this aura enters, enchanted creature deals damage equal to its power to any other target. When enchanted creature is dealt damage, it deals that much damage to each opponent. God, imagine slapping this onto a screaming nemesis. Like, holy mackerel. Oh my gosh. That's ridiculous. Like, yeah, it's an aura, so it dies, that's bad in a removal situation, but it's a pretty crazy aura. Borosaurus is already pretty decent, so being able to slap this onto something in Borosaurus is pretty awesome. So I imagine Borosaurus is going to get popular again. Servondum Sunstar Exemplar, 2 mana for a 2/2 Vigilant Menace. Whenever another creature you control dies or is put into exile, put a +1/+1 counter on Servondum and you gain 1 life. When Servondum dies or is put into exile, while its power is 4 or greater, destroy up to 1 target non-land permanent. I like this guy. 2 reasons. It's really good in an aristocrat strategy, so Sephiroth and our boys. And I like it because it's the first of several in this set that we've seen so far that cares about whether something dies or gets exiled. Sunfall's rotating, but later in this list, you're going to see a card very, very reminiscent of Sunfall, and you're going to see why I'm excited that they're actually printing some stuff that cares about stuff being exiled. Because not only does this synergize with Warp, but it also makes it a little bit better when your opponent exiles all your creatures. All right, we have Sunset Saboteur, a 2 mana 4/1 with menace with ward. Discard a card. Whenever this creature attacks, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature and opponent controls. If you can just kill everything that they play, you never have to put a counter on anything. I like it. Secluded Stoneforge, a land that adds a colorless, and you can pay 2 to tap X untapped artifacts you control, and target creature gets +X/+0 till end of turn. It's pretty interesting. All right, Obsidian, thank you so much for joining the stream. Appreciate you being here, man. You're the best. I hope so too. I don't know, man. I might not get to the games. I'm really pushing through it right now. So if I don't end up feeling up to playing games, I'll probably at least play a little bit. But I'm really struggling with this right now. So we'll see. And then you can pay 5 mana to create a robot. It's all right. I don't think this will see play in standard. Arch Enemy's Charm, 3 black mana for an instant. Choose 1, exile target creature or planeswalker. It's not terrible. Return 1 or 2 target creature and or planeswalker cards from your graveyard to your hand. That's a pretty solid ability. Or put 2 +1/+1 counters on target creature. It gains lifelink till end of turn. Those are all pretty solid. I like it. We'll see play in mono black. We have Synthesizer Lab Ship. 1 mana for an artifact spacecraft. Does nothing when it enters. At 2 station, you get an ability that says at the beginning of combat on your turn, up to 1 other target artifact you control becomes an artifact creature with base power and toughness 2/2 and gains flying till end of turn. That's pretty sweet. And then at station 9 plus, we get a 4/4 with flying and vigilance. It's not crazy, but it's decent. Beyond the Quiet. It's Sunfall Light. It exiles all creatures and spacecraft. Sunfall is still here. This is definitely not as good as Sunfall, though. Sunfall was, in my opinion, busted because not only did it remove the entire board, but it also provided you with a win condition in the incubation token that you got from it. So the more cards that were on the field when you did it, the better it got. And it made playing it in a deck like this is much worse in mono white token control than Sunfall. Like mono white token control plays Sunfall, they don't care because the token draws them a card, and it's huge because they make a ton of tokens, so they get a huge incubator token. If they have Elspeth on the field or something, it doubles it up. It's nuts. This is way worse than Sunfall, but we still have a 5 mana exile all creatures. Feels kind of bad, but we'll live. And then I like this card. This card, I'm gonna kill somebody with this. With Smuggler Surprise. This is my next Smuggler Surprise deck. Keep your eyes out. 8 mana. It's a 0/0 Leviathan with Ward 3 and Devour Land 3. So Devour Land 3 says, as this creature enters, you may sacrifice any number of lands. It enters with 3 times that many +1/+1 counters on it. So let's say you cast this with, let's say you Smuggler Surprise this. If you sack all your lands, it's an 18/18. So if you play this with Terror of the Peaks, that's 18 damage. That's pretty sweet. It has Ward 3, so it's hard to kill. That's not always going to be the best play, but I think it's cool and fun, and we're going to do it. It also says, when this creature enters, look at the top X cards of your library, where X is this creature's power. Put any number of land cards from among them onto the battlefield, tapped, and then shuffle. So this can also ramp you. Because if you play this alongside Smuggler Surprise and you sack 6 lands, it's an 18/18. So that means you get to look at 18 cards and put every land from the 18 cards into play tapped. There's a decent likelihood you're going to come back with the same, with six or more lands again, with that kind of power. So very, very sweet. It's basically like Scape Shift, but a little worse because you don't get to pick the lands. But very, very cool card. I love it. I think it's such a cool design. We've got Loading Zone, 4 mana enchantment. If 1 or more counters will be put on a creature, spacecraft, or planet you control, twice that many of each of those kinds of counters are put on it instead, with a warp of 1. This is the card. This is the card that's going to help enable all these relatively crazy landing costs, because you can pay 1 mana, and now all your creatures station for twice the counters. And you can, especially like the lands that are all 12 plus, like you can get to that much more reasonably with something like this, and then you can still cast it again later. So I think this helps a lot. We have Space Time Anomaly. This card's ridiculous. 4 mana, sorcery, target player mills cards equal to your life total. We're losing Jace, but we're getting it back, kind of. If you have 20 life, you just mill them for 20. If you have more than 20 life, if you're playing like Hope and a bunch of life gain cards, you could be milling your opponent for a ton. So mill, probably coming back in some form or another. This is a crazy spell. We have Elegy Acolyte, a 4 mana 4/4 with lifelink, human cleric. Whenever 1 or more creatures you control deal combat to a player, you draw a card and lose 1 life. So it's basically got the Gix ability on it, and then Void at the beginning of your end step. If a non-land permanent left the battlefield this turn or a spell is warped, create a 2/2 colorless robot. And it has lifelink itself. This is very solid. This will see play in some form or another. I can almost guarantee it. It's a very good card. Moving on, we have Rust Harvester, 1 mana 1/1 with Menace. Exile an artifact card from your graveyard, put a counter on this, and then it deals damage equal to its power to any other target. That's actually a pretty sweet ability. I actually like this a lot. Like, it's not an insane 1-drop, but that's pretty cool. Little way to like remove stuff by getting stuff out of your graveyard. Temporal Intervention, 3 mana for a sorcery. With Void, the spell costs 2 less to cast. If you satisfy Void, target opponent reveals their hand. You choose a non-land card. They discard that card. So Thoughtseize, Turbo Thoughtseize, if you can satisfy Void. That's annoying. But it's there. We have Tanuk, Memorial Ensign, a 3 mana 2/4 with landfall. Whenever a land you control enters, Tenek deals 1 damage to each opponent. If this is the second time that ability is resolved this turn, draw a card. We now have a pretty critical mass of cards that ping when a land comes into play. We've got the Lizard, we've got the Cactus, we've got this. So maybe a landfall ping deck is actually in the cards now. We'll have to see. We have Harmonious Grove Strider, a 5 mana star beast with Ward 2. This creature's power and toughness are each equal to the number of lands you control. It'd be super sweet if it had trample, but it doesn't. Dawnsire, Sunstar Dreadnought. This is the card everyone's talking about just because it's got a ridiculous ability. 5 mana for do nothing. When you get it to 10, it says whenever you attack, so with anything on the battlefield, Dawnsire deals 100 damage to up to 1 target creature or planeswalker. That's pretty funny. You can play this with Screaming Nemesis and just dome your opponent for 100. It's pretty stupid. I don't know if this card will see play, but people are going to try to break it. I guarantee it. Tapestry Warden, 4 mana for a 3/4 vigilance. Each creature you control, toughness greater than its power, assigns combat damage equal to its toughness rather than its power. Each creature you control, toughness greater than its power, stations permanence using its toughness rather than its power. So we finally have another decent 4 mana creature that gives us the power toughness swap. So now we have this and the turtle from Ixalan. So that is pretty sweet because we lost in the last rotation. We lost another one, but that one was actually Golgari, so it was a little more limiting because you had to play Golgari to use it. So having another effect like that's pretty sweet for anyone who wants to play the Turtles Toughness Matters deck. Definitely not going to be breaking anything in Standard, but a very sweet addition to Standard. We have Larval Scoutlander, 3 mana for a 3/3 spell spacecraft. When it enters, you may sacrifice a land or lander. If you do, search your library for up to 2 basic land cards and put them onto the battlefield tapped and shuffle. That's actually pretty sweet. If you can get a lander onto the battlefield before you play this, sacrificing the lander to get two basic lands is awesome. And then it's a 3/3 flyer for Station 7. Nothing to write home about there. Starfighter Pilot, 2 mana for a 2/2. Whenever this creature becomes tapped, surveil 1. Not terrible. Starfield Shepherd, 5 mana for a 3/2 flyer. When this creature enters, search your library for a basic plains or a creature card with mana value 1 or less. Reveal it, put it to your hand, and shuffle. With Warp 2. I think that's pretty sweet, actually. I like that a lot. We have Nova Hellkite, 5 mana for a 4/5 flying haste. When this creature enters, it deals 1 damage to target creature an opponent controls, and you can warp it for 3. So 3 mana, 4/5 flying haste, ping something is not bad, and then you can cast it again later. Virulent Silencer, 3 mana for a 2/3. Whenever a non-token artifact you control deals combat damage to a player, that player gets 2 poison counters. I'm sure somebody's going to find a way to break this too. Especially if you can make copies of it and double up the triggers and things like that. Which is absolutely possible in today's Standard. Getting a reprint of Cathedral of War, getting a reprint of Bonder's Enclave, and then we have Icetill Explorer. 4 mana for a 2/4. You may play an additional land on each of your turns. You may play lands from your graveyard, and landfall, whenever a land you control enters, mill a card. It's a pretty sweet card, in my opinion. It's not crazy, but it's basically Crucible of Worlds and Azusa, or not Azusa, but I can't remember the name of the card I'm thinking of off the top of my head. It's a decent card, though. I like it. Moonlit Meditation, 3 mana for an enchantment aura. Enchant artifact or creature you control. The first time you would create 1 or more tokens each turn, you may instead create that many tokens that are copies of enchanted permanent. What? It's a may, too. So you slap this onto a synthesizer, which triggers... you get a copy of the synthesizer, which triggers the synthesizer and makes another copy. That's the first time, so you only get this once, but I mean, eventually you get in a situation where you don't have to make copies of Synthesizer anymore, but you just keep making copies of Synthesizer every turn. And that's pretty hilarious. So we have Terra Symbiosis, 3 mana enchantment. Whenever one or more +1/+1 counters are on a creature, whenever you put one or more +1/+1 counters on a creature you control, you may draw that many cards. Do this only one each turn. That's a very strong card. That's a very strong card. If you can find a way, like even the warp guy, where you pay X and green, it turns that guy into a X and green, draw X cards. And then you also get to put the counters on something else when it goes away. It's pretty sweet. I like this card a lot. I think it'll see play. We have Timeline Color, 2 black for a 2/2 with haste. You may cast this card from your graveyard using its warp ability. This is a really sweet card. This is very good for mono black aggro because it has haste. So you cast it from your graveyard, you got to pay 2 life, but then you still get a 2/2 with haste, and then you can cast it again later for the 2 mana. Pretty sweet. Reprint of Warping Whale, and then we have Vote Out, 4 mana, Convoke, destroy target creature. Not terrible. Command Bridge, one of the worst common lands we've seen in a while. Land enters tapped. When this land enters, sacrifice it unless you tap an untapped permanent you control, and it can add 1 mana of any color. Embrace Oblivion, 1 black as an additional cost to cast this spell. Sacrifice an artifact or creature, destroy target creature or spacecraft. Nothing terribly exciting there. We have Susser, Segundi Void Altar. This is the black land with station 12+. When it gets there, you can pay 1 and a black and tap it, pay 2 life, sack a creature, draw cards equal to the power of the creature. I don't think that's too crazy, so probably doesn't see play. Maybe as a one of in a black deck. We'll have to see. Anti-Casual Vestige. Now, this one's interesting. We get a 6 mana, 7/5 Eldrazi. When this creature leaves the battlefield, draw a card. Then you may put a permanent with mana value less than or equal to the number of lands you control from your hand onto the battlefield. And it has Warp 4. So you warp this for 4. And then when it goes away, you get to draw a card and put a 4-drop from your hand onto the battlefield. And then this comes back later as a 6 mana 7/5. That's pretty sweet. I like it a lot. I think that'll see some play. We have Alfariel, Dreaming Acolyte, a 3 mana 2/3 legendary human cleric. When it enters, draw 2, discard 2, unless you discard an artifact. During your turn, Alfariel has Death Touch. Not terrible. Especially with cut down rotating, gets a little bit better. Mutavault's getting reprinted in the bonus sheet. And then we have Solthera, the Super Void, 4 mana for an enchantment, 2 and 2 black. Whenever a creature you control dies, each opponent chooses a creature they control and exiles it. At the beginning of your end step, if a player controls no creatures, sacrifice Solthera, then put a creature card exiled with it onto the battlefield under your control with 2 additional +1/+1 counters on it. It's a really sweet card. It's like Grave Pact, but like better and worse, I guess, because it goes away eventually once one of you guys has no creatures, but it also reanimates something when it goes away, so that's pretty cool. These are the non-fancy versions of the lands, and then we've got couple more commander cards there, and then we have the Sariema, a 3 mana spacecraft. When it enters, search your library for a legendary creature, reveal it, put it to your hand. And then Station 7+, 5/5 flyer. Other tapped legendary creatures you control have indestructible. That's an interesting one. I don't know if it'll see play or not, but it's interesting. Tezzeret, Cruel Captain. I'm sure you guys have probably seen all of these because these were leaked quite a while ago. So I'm not going to go over the last 2. And yeah, the set's looking pretty awesome. So I'm curious, like, are you guys excited about this set? Are you space nerds? Are you people that like enjoy the high space fantasy? I'm loving the art in this set for sure. I really liked some of you guys might not remember these, but Unfinity was a space themed joke set, and it was really fun. And I really loved the aesthetic of that set, the art, the flavor, and I feel like they brought a lot of that to this set, but with a more serious tone, and I really like it. All right. Well, let's move on from that. still feeling a little under the weather. I'm going to try to play some games here, but I'm probably going to call it around, like, I'm going to see if I can make it till 10 p.m. I normally stop at 11. I'm going to see if I can make it till 10. All right, let's play some Standard. All right. What should I play first? I'm gonna play some Abzan Aristocrats. This deck has felt really fun to me. It does have a best of 3 sideboard, but we're gonna play it in best of 1. It's basically a Sephiroth deck, but because I was like, you know what, Felithar goes really nice with Sephiroth too, and then Yathon Roadwatcher is really sweet because it can get back Sephiroths and stuff. So this deck has been pretty sweet and fun so far, and the little bit of testing that I've done with it. So let's give it a try. Where'd it go? Where did it go? I'm blind. I can't find it. I'm losing my mind. Where'd it go? It was just there. Why is it not showing up in... Why is it not showing up in when you... Is that a bug? It's literally not showing up. What the heck? Why? I don't understand. Invalid card 0. Explain this to me. I've played this in best of 1. More than what? It doesn't. It has 15 cards in the sideboard. I'm so confused. What? I am so confused. I've never encountered this issue before. Let me restart Arena real quick. That's a very weird error. It clearly says there's 0 invalid cards. And the reason it's giving me for not saving it doesn't make sense because it has 15 cards in the sideboard. I've literally played the deck in best of 1 before. Alright, let's try that again. Is this still down here? It is. What the heck? I don't get it. Nothing in here is banned. And it shows up when we do best of 3. I'm switching to best of 3, it's there. See? That's so weird. I guess we'll play something else. I don't know what's going on with it. Let's play, you know, we'll play some Mill. Why not? Well, I guess I should show you the list first real quick. Stop, cancel. Enjoying some Jace before it goes away. So we're basically playing sort of like a Sultai Control, where we're taking advantage of Glacierwood Siege and the Water Crystal and Riverturn Monument and Jace to mill our opponent out. And then we got a bunch of removal and board clear and some Raxash's bargains and things like that. So it's pretty sweet. Let's try it out. Let's be the bad guys. Let's mill some people. I don't mill people too often, but when I do, I mill baby mill. CT Jackson. Opponent's going first. This is a good hand. Keep. Play Ghost Vacuum. Mono Black. Cruel Claws Heist. That's annoying. What do they take? Everything in our hand is bad for them. We've got 2 Ghost Vacuums in the list to help deal with, because we're milling our opponents, so we want to make sure that we can handle stuff that we put in their graveyard. They get rid of the cut down. Interesting. I shouldn't be doing that. It's a habit, especially against Mono Black, to exile their stuff so they can't collect evidence with their board clear. But that is not the correct play. I guess they'd probably take Glacier. Well, either one of these are 3-drops, so... Glacier would see just harder for them to interact with, though. I don't know, I would think that they would have taken this. Gets in for 1. They're missing land drops. I'll take it. I'm gonna mill them now. Hopefully mill some lands. There you go. There's those 2 swamps you needed. And that's why mill is evil. Go mill them some more. We have another bat. Nope.
Phyrexia showed me the truth. Flesh will always lose.
I'm just gonna go for it because I think they have a bitter triumph or something. Yeah. I had a feeling they'd have a way to punish me if I didn't just go for his ability. They wasted that spell though. I don't know why they did that. And they're just a few spells away from just getting milled out by Riverturn Monument. Unstoppable Slasher, sure. Cottage. Watch us still die. Because I don't have an answer to this. Watch him just go land Bloodletter, and then we die. After all the work. No Bloodletter, alright.
This is my home, and I don't appreciate it when people touch my things. You won't be outsmarting me.
Alright, that does it. Easy peasy. First game down. Granted, they did get mana screwed, but that was partially because we milled them though. They would have drawn a land the following turn if we hadn't milled them. In fact, they would have drawn 2 lands. They would have been fine. So technically, they only missed 1 land drop, and we screwed up the other land drops. All right, let's mill him again. Crispy 1984. Sure. Undercity sewers, we'll keep the starting town. Flush portico for the opponent. Looks like they're Naya. Yuna. Let's go ahead and get a River Turn Monument down. Summon Fenrir. Rampity ramp. Need a Ghost Vacuum. Need it soon. I don't have anything to get back with Yuna yet. That's annoying. I got another one though. Overlord of the Hauntwood, sure. Let's mill. 2, 3, 4. Take the water crystal and the verge. Overlord of the Spoiler Villages. Owie. Oh, there went all their Yunas. Oh, that's funny. As for Origins, I'm gonna surveil 2, gain some life. Takes High Noon. This is looking a little dicey. Summon Bahamut. What does he hit? Water Crystal I have another copy of, but I need a removal spell to deal with the Bahamut. Ugh. Alright. They got us. Then having those Brotherhoods end in the main deck was kind of rough, because we probably would have won if we'd been able to keep our River Turn Monuments. Also never helps when you're playing a deck that wants to be milled and you don't find your Ghost Vacuums. That wasn't the issue that game, but still. Carlasso! This looks fine. And? What's our opponent? Wizards! Alright, come on, give me a land. Dark Continent. We're gonna get screwed because we can't find a third land. I hate when it's like you've got 3 turns to find a third land and a surveil, so it's like you feel like I can keep a 2-land hand, right? Nope. Instantly punished. There's a land. It's tapped though. I like what our opponent's doing. I do like this non-creature pinging strategy, but unfortunately we're gonna get crushed because we didn't draw lands quick enough. There we go.
Cannot win.
We got removal. Yeah, alright. They're just too far ahead of us here. We'll switch it up. I feel like I'm playing Mill. I'm the bad guy on the ladder right now, so we'll play something different. Play some mono green. I feel like mono green's in a really good spot right now. I think the only thing I have in here that's new though is Saz's Chocobo. So maybe we play something that's got a few more new cards in it. I got a Naya Delirium list that's pretty fun. That's taking advantage of Phoenix and Lightning and Summon Brynhilder and things like that, and Fire Magic and Resto Magic. So let's try that. Naya Delirium. It's a pretty fun deck, actually. I just feel bad playing decks that are just like no Final Fantasy cards, because it's like, what's the point, you know? Blue Ice 35. Alright, we need white mana, but we've got several Summon Brynhilders to hopefully find that white mana with. Oh man, I tell you what, man, whatever I've got going on with me right now is kicking my behind. I don't know why I am feeling like this, especially through all the medicine that I've taken for it. Well, you got removal. Either do or you don't. Swamp. Looks like they do. Bitter Triumph, but they paid 3 life for it, so that's good for us. Get a white mana next turn. Creature of the Schism. Another Preacher of the Schism. Just a casual 10 damage here. Alyssa. Finds the land, plays the land, does it again. It's a lot of land. I like Restoration Magic a lot. I think Restoration Magic is a very underrated card. The fact that it can protect all your permanents and that it protects a permanent in general to begin with is super great. That's annoying. After all this, our opponent's going to come back. Unless we can draw another Violent Urge and they don't have removal. He just blocks. Okay. At least get rid of his board. Got enough mana to gain life from the cottage. And probably turn off our delirium too. There's just nothing, no way we can come back from this. He can just start gaining the life every turn, eating our graveyard. He doesn't even have to play anything else. Unfortunate. We kind of had too many spells in hand, honestly. We cast way too many non-creature spells that game. Arches 31. Like, no creatures, come on. Alright. Violent Urge King. Let's put the other Joshua back. Swift Spear. So probably Borosaurus. Let's go ahead and mill. Fear of missing out. Wildfire Wicker Folk. For our opponent, torch the towers. Nope, that turns on Delirium, I think. No, not quite. One off. Lightning strike our beastie. Very rude. We need land. My goodness, I cannot catch a break tonight. It's a lot of cards I've been through not to find a third land. I really need a third land so I can use this fire magic. Thank you. gotta do it now. Whew. That was scary. Saved by the bell. Bolt way to our face, yep. Put Wild Ride and Brynhilder in the yard. They land. Resto Magic is great, gain us some life. Summon, just you have Cerberus. Surveil 1. No milling this time. If I flip that, I can't use Resto Magic, which is a little rough. How much damage would this be? This would be 6, 7, 14. That's not enough. I think we just pass. Attack with Beastie. We can full cost Resto Magic and gain 6 life, so that might be enough. Maybe. If he's got another Helix, that's probably bad for us. And if it's Burst Lightning, we're dead. Still dead. We tried. Not having the best luck tonight. Got land screwed, didn't find any removal. Opponent just got to do what they wanted to do. The stack is not this bad, I promise. If we had drawn a third land on time, I think we'd have been fine. Zeros. I think I'm gonna mulligan this hand. It's a little better. Put back Tursa. More Golgari. Not in love with Golgari in this matchup. Mosswood Dread Knight, sure. Mill. There's a land, that's nice. Means we should have a pretty sweet turn ahead of us next turn. Assuming our opponent doesn't do anything too annoying. Turn on the Delirium, get in for like 10 or 8. Innkeeper's Talent. And a cut down. That is annoying. Get in for 3. Didn't want to discard the Restoration Magic, but Get Lost is better, so I'm not going to discard that to satisfy Delirium. Iridescent Vine Lasher. Gonna ping us for 4. No more mills. Pinging us for all the damage. Violent Urge. Well, that should probably do it. Okey-doke. That should do it. Just not blocking? Like... Brave. Alright. I think I've got one more game in me and then I gotta... I'm sorry, guys. I'm just really not feeling super great. I tried to push through it, and I really hoped that the medicine I took was gonna, like, kind of knock us out, like, after the first, like, half an hour, but I'm just not feeling it, man. So I'm gonna play one more game with this deck, and then I'm gonna have to call it a night for my own health. Keep this. Come on. Let's go get a red with this. Yeah, this is the only time during the week where I get to stream with you guys, and I really enjoy it, and taking the time off from it just didn't feel great to me, so... And I was just really, because I wasn't feeling awful at first, but it's been on and off all day. Just something I ate yesterday, I think. Yeah, you're right. Honest to goodness, I'm just tired and not feeling good, so I'm not thinking my best right now. I think you're right, though. Joshua, let's discard a Tirsa. Keep everything else. We can go get a white with this Fabled Passage. Opponent plots a bird. Bird is the word. This fire magic's gonna be so good eventually. What could he have? Dreadmaw's Ire? Let's see what he does this turn. I'm gonna hold up Get Lost and Fire Magic and see what he does. Plays the show off. You can only cast 2 non-creature spells, so I'm gonna block the Hired Claw, I think. Witchstalker Frenzy, huh? What do you think his last card is? So the claw stays alive. I'm fine with that. Take 2. Fear of missing out. Can he deal 8 to us here is the question. Oh, this would suck if he has Witchstalker Frenzy again. I should have put it on Tirsa or something. Oh, Burst Lightning our face. Okay, we live. Xaxes. Actually, we had 6 more damage coming too. But yeah. Alright, at least we ended on a high note there. Alright guys, well, I'm sorry to end the stream a little bit early, but like I said, I am just feeling very under the weather. So I wanted to at least get through all the spoilers so I didn't have to catch up on too much next week. And at least play a little bit of Standard with you guys. Thank you all so much for being here. You guys are what make this worthwhile, and I look forward to this every week, which is why I did this regardless of how I was feeling, because, you know, I get excited about my stream every week, so... I hope that you guys, if you haven't already, will take a moment to hit the like button. If you're not subscribed, please make sure you do hit that subscribe button. If you want to see more from me, I stream weekly on Wednesdays at 8 p.m. Normally, we don't end the stream early, and I stream till 11, but tonight we're going to end it about an hour early. If you're interested in joining the Discord link for my Sev Squad Discord is in the description. It's a great way to talk to me directly, chat with me about decks and ideas, and discuss, you know, all things Magic, and I'm pretty active there, so... as well as helping me out by checking out the socials in the description. If you have any of those social media platforms and you would like to take a quick moment to click on those and follow me on those platforms, it helps me grow as a creator, which will hopefully eventually get me into a position where I can catch the eye of wizards and get part of the early access and all that stuff, so I can provide you guys with fun content during the early access event and everything. So all those things help. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much, and I'll catch you in the next one.